What if everything you thought about aging and desire was wrong? Most people assume that sexual pleasure fades quietly with age, but the truth is far more surprising. As we grow older, our bodies and minds evolve in ways that reshape our experience of intimacy, often unlocking deeper connection and unexpected challenges. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on what really happens to your sexual health in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. From hormone shifts to emotional rediscovery, you'll learn what no one talks about, and why embracing your sexuality later in life might be your most powerful move yet. The silent shift: what really happens to your body. As we age, our bodies don't send flashing warning signs. They change slowly, quietly, and often in ways we don't immediately notice. But when it comes to sexual health, these subtle shifts can have a profound impact. The truth is, many older adults experience changes that affect desire, sensation, and satisfaction long before they realize what's happening. For men, one of the earliest and most influential changes is the gradual decline in testosterone. Starting in their 30s or 40s, testosterone levels drop by about 1% per year. And that slow erosion affects everything from libido to energy, to the ability to maintain an erection. It's not sudden. It creeps in. One day, you might notice intimacy doesn't feel quite as urgent, or arousal takes more time and effort than it used to. Women experience an equally dramatic shift, especially around menopause. As estrogen and progesterone levels fall, the body undergoes changes that directly affect sexual comfort and pleasure. Vaginal dryness becomes more common, making penetration or even self-pleasure less comfortable. The vaginal walls may thin, reducing elasticity, and for some women, clitoral sensitivity decreases, making arousal less intense or more difficult to reach. But it's not just physical. These changes often bring emotional baggage too: frustration, self-doubt, or a quiet grief for a body that no longer reacts the same way. But hormones aren't the whole story. Aging also affects circulation, and good blood flow is essential for sexual arousal. With less efficient circulation, genitals may not respond with the same intensity or speed as before. At the same time, the muscles involved in sexual function, like those in the pelvic floor, can weaken over time. This can lead to less control, diminished sensation, or even discomfort during arousal. None of this means that desire disappears. In fact, many older adults report that their interest in intimacy remains strong, even if their body doesn't always cooperate the way it used to. The key is understanding why these changes happen and learning how to work with your body, not against it. Because when you understand the silent shift happening inside you, you can start to take control and rediscover pleasure on your own terms. The unseen risks. When pleasure isn't so harmless. For most people, self-pleasure is seen as a safe and private act, something natural, comforting, and personal. But as we grow older, what once felt effortless can become unexpectedly complicated. Not because desire fades, but because the body now plays by different rules. And if we don't pay attention, pleasure can come with hidden risks. One of the biggest concerns? The heart. Sexual arousal, even during masturbation, can raise your heart rate and blood pressure. For someone with a history of cardiovascular issues, this sudden spike can be dangerous. Chest pain, dizziness, shortness of breath. These aren't things anyone wants to feel in a vulnerable moment. That's why doctors often advise older adults, especially those with known heart conditions, to be mindful of how their bodies respond. If you're noticing physical discomfort during or after intimacy, it's not something to ignore. It's something to talk about. Joint pain is another sneaky obstacle. Arthritis, stiff muscles, and reduced flexibility can turn certain positions or movements into painful experiences. Even repetitive hand or wrist motion during self-pleasure can aggravate inflammation. This doesn't mean pleasure is off limits. It means learning new ways to experience it, with more comfortable positions, cushions for support, or gentler techniques that protect your joints without sacrificing satisfaction. Then there's the impact of medications, and this one often goes unnoticed. Many older adults take prescriptions for blood pressure, diabetes, depression, or sleep issues. What's rarely mentioned is that some of these drugs can interfere with sexual function. You might feel less interested, take longer to get aroused, or find it harder to reach orgasm. These changes aren't in your head, they're chemical reactions, and they're real. The good news? Many of these issues are manageable. A conversation with your healthcare provider could lead to adjusting the dosage, switching medications, or adding something that supports your sexual health. And for those with chronic illnesses like diabetes, nerve sensitivity may be reduced. That can make it harder to feel pleasure in the same ways. But understanding that this is a medical issue, not a personal failure, can free you from shame and push you toward solutions. Pleasure doesn't have to be risky, but as we age, it does require awareness and a willingness to adapt. The mind game, how guilt and shame sabotage desire. The body may change with age, but the mind can be an even bigger barrier to pleasure. For many older adults, the real struggle isn't physical, it's emotional. Guilt, shame, embarrassment. These silent forces can sabotage desire long before it has a chance to surface. Where do these feelings come from? Often, it starts with the messages we were given growing up. Many people were raised in environments where sex was taboo, something not to be discussed, let alone explored openly. That silence doesn't disappear with time. It lingers, shaping how we see ourselves even decades later. Add to that a culture that wrongly paints sexuality as a young person's game, and the result is a toxic combination of internalized shame and the belief that sexual desire past a certain age is inappropriate. So when the desire is still there, and for many it absolutely is, it can feel confusing or even wrong. Thoughts like, "I shouldn't be doing this," or "what if someone knew," creep in and crush curiosity. What was once natural starts to feel like a secret, or worse, a mistake. But here's the truth. Desire doesn't expire, and suppressing it doesn't make it disappear. It just buries it under layers of self-doubt and isolation. That emotional weight can have real consequences. It can lead to lower self-esteem, heightened anxiety, and even depression. When you feel like something that brings you joy is off limits, it creates a disconnect between who you are and what you need. What's more, the very act of sexual expression, including masturbation, can boost emotional well-being. It releases hormones like endorphins and oxytocin, which naturally reduce stress and enhance mood. So ironically, the thing people feel most guilty about could be the very thing that helps them feel more whole, more grounded, and more alive. Breaking free from shame doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with acknowledging that your needs are valid, your body is still yours, and pleasure, in any form, is nothing to feel embarrassed about. Surrounding yourself with supportive voices, whether from community groups, therapists, or trusted friends, can help reshape the narrative. Because in the end, one of the biggest acts of self-care is giving yourself permission to feel good, without guilt and without apology. Loneliness and lust, the double-edged sword. As people age, one of the most overlooked challenges isn't physical, it's emotional isolation. Retirement, losing a partner, limited mobility, or simply outliving social circles can all contribute to a deep sense of loneliness. And when that loneliness sets in, desire doesn't always go away. In fact, sometimes it intensifies, but in unexpected ways. Masturbation can become a form of comfort, a safe and private ritual in a life that may feel increasingly disconnected. For many older adults, it offers a moment of escape, a return to sensation, control, and even identity. It's one of the few places where no one is watching and where intimacy still feels possible. But that's where the double-edged sword comes in. On one hand, self-pleasure can be incredibly grounding. It relieves stress, helps with sleep, and reconnects people to their bodies when everything else feels uncertain. But on the other hand, when it becomes a stand-in for meaningful connection, it can deepen the feeling of being alone. That momentary relief fades quickly if it's not balanced with emotional closeness, conversation, and human presence. Worse, shame can creep in again. This time not just about the act, but about the emptiness that sometimes follows. For people already struggling with depression or anxiety, relying too heavily on solitary habits can create a loop of retreating from others and reinforcing the very loneliness they're trying to escape. The key isn't to stop seeking pleasure, it's to build a life around it that feels full and connected. Joining community programs, support groups, or even fitness and hobby clubs can open the door to new friendships. Volunteering, reconnecting with family, or even exploring dating, in person or online, can help reinvigorate emotional closeness. Touch, conversation, and laughter are just as essential to well-being as physical pleasure. And when intimacy is shared, whether emotionally or physically, it becomes something far richer than a moment of release. It becomes a reminder that we're still here, still human, and still capable of connection. Loneliness is real, but it doesn't have to be permanent. And desire, even in solitude, can be the first spark that leads back to something deeper, if we let it. The talk you've been avoiding. Why communication changes everything. When it comes to sex and aging, one of the most powerful tools isn't medication, toys, or even technique. It's conversation. And yet, for many older adults, talking about sex feels harder than the act itself. Whether it's with a longtime partner, a new companion, or even a healthcare provider, the fear of awkwardness, rejection, or judgment often keeps people silent. But silence is where misunderstandings, insecurities, and distance begin. As our bodies change, so do our sexual needs. And that's not something to be ashamed of. Maybe penetration no longer feels as good, or arousal takes longer. Maybe cuddling and touch bring more satisfaction than full intercourse. Or maybe you're exploring self-pleasure and unsure how to talk about it. These shifts are natural, but if they're not discussed, they can lead to frustration, resentment, or even emotional withdrawal in relationships. Open communication removes the guesswork. It creates space for honesty, for vulnerability, and most importantly, for connection. It's how partners learn to adapt together rather than apart. You might discover that your partner has been feeling the same things, wondering if something is wrong or afraid to bring it up. And it's not just about what's not working. It's about exploring what could work even better. That might mean trying new forms of intimacy, introducing different kinds of touch, or rethinking what satisfaction means at this stage of life. It's a chance to rebuild trust, deepen emotional bonds, and even reignite the spark in ways that feel more meaningful than ever before. Communication also extends beyond the bedroom. Talking to doctors or therapists about sexual concerns can open doors to treatment options or support you didn't know were available. From hormone therapies to pelvic floor exercises or counseling for emotional or psychological hurdles. The conversation might feel uncomfortable at first, but what's even more uncomfortable? Staying silent and letting your needs go unmet. Because sexual well-being isn't just about the act. It's about being seen, heard, and valued. You deserve a relationship with yourself and others that evolves with you. And that starts with one honest conversation. When you talk about your desires, your struggles, and your hopes, everything begins to shift, not just in the bedroom, but in your sense of connection, confidence, and freedom. New tricks, how exploration rekindles pleasure. As we age, one of the most freeing truths is this: you don't have to do things the way you always have. In fact, you probably shouldn't. What once came naturally may now require a little creativity, but that's not a setback. It's an opportunity. Exploring new techniques and redefining what pleasure looks like can not only restore your sexual confidence, it can unlock sensations and satisfaction you never expected. Let's start with the basics. Comfort. Aging often brings changes like reduced skin sensitivity, vaginal dryness, or less predictable arousal. For many, this means the old methods just don't feel the same, or worse, they hurt. But that doesn't mean pleasure is gone. It means it's time to upgrade the approach. High-quality lubricants can make a world of difference. Water-based for gentle play, silicone-based for longer sessions, even oil-based options for those who want richer sensations. Trying different types can completely reshape your experience, turning discomfort into ease and pressure into pleasure. Then there's the world of toys and tools. And no, they're not just for younger people. Many sex toys today are specifically designed with older adults in mind. Ergonomic handles, large buttons, wearable devices, and whisper-quiet motors make them easy to use, even for those with arthritis or limited mobility. Some toys offer dual stimulation, others focus on pinpoint precision, and many cater to slow, sensual buildup, perfect for bodies that need a little extra time. Beyond gadgets, the real magic lies in changing the atmosphere. Sensuality isn't just physical, it's mental. Dim the lights, play calming music, light a scented candle. Set the stage like you would for a relaxing bath or a special meal. Creating a ritual around self-pleasure helps shift your mindset from getting it done to enjoying the moment. And finally, explore without expectation. Let go of what used to be and lean into what feels good now. That might mean discovering new erogenous zones, using a different touch, or simply taking more time. Slowing down isn't a weakness. It's a superpower. Because the truth is, age doesn't dull pleasure. Routine does. And when you break the routine and give yourself permission to explore, you don't just reignite desire, you reconnect with yourself on a whole new level. What your doctor really thinks about this. Let's be honest. Talking to a doctor about sexual health can feel awkward, even embarrassing. Many older adults assume their doctor doesn't want to hear about issues like desire, arousal, or self-pleasure. But here's the truth. Your doctor not only expects the conversation, they're trained for it. And more importantly, it could be one of the most helpful discussions you ever have. Sexual wellness is part of overall health. Just like sleep, diet, or mental well-being, your sexual function deserves care and attention. If you're experiencing changes in libido, discomfort during self-pleasure, or frustration with performance, a medical professional can help you understand why and what to do about it. These aren't private problems, they're medical ones, and there are real, science-backed solutions available. For example, many older adults don't realize how much medications can affect their sexual responses. Blood pressure pills, antidepressants, diabetes medications, they can all lower libido, reduce arousal, or make it harder to climax. A doctor can review your prescriptions and, in many cases, adjust the dosage or recommend alternatives that reduce these side effects. Dealing with physical discomfort? They can suggest high-quality lubricants, prescribe topical treatments, or refer you to specialists in pelvic health or urology. Struggling with anxiety or shame around sex? Many clinics now work with certified sex therapists who specialize in helping adults reclaim their confidence and pleasure without judgment or pressure. And here's another thing your doctor probably won't say out loud, but it's true. They've heard it all. You're not the first person to bring this up, and you won't be the last. What may feel awkward to you is likely just another important part of a day's work for them. Their goal is to help you feel better, physically, emotionally, and sexually. So why wait? By staying silent, you risk missing out on real help and real healing. Speaking up can be the first step toward understanding your body better, managing discomfort, and restoring pleasure that you may have thought was lost for good. You deserve a healthcare experience that honors your whole self, including your desire. And all it takes is one honest, empowered question. Can we talk about my sexual health? Full circle, embracing your sexuality without apology. After everything your body has been through, the changes, the challenges, the doubts, it's easy to believe that sexuality should be left in the past. But the truth is, this stage of life may be the most liberating of all. Not because everything works the way it used to, but because now you understand yourself more than ever. You've lived, learned, loved, lost. And through it all, your desire for intimacy and connection hasn't disappeared. It's evolved. Embracing your sexuality as an older adult isn't about recapturing your youth. It's about owning your present. It means recognizing that pleasure isn't just for the young, it's for the human. And you're still here, still capable and still worthy of touch, closeness, and joy. Self-pleasure, in particular, can become a powerful form of self-care. It's not just about physical release. It's about reclaiming agency over your body. It can boost self-esteem, lower stress, improve sleep, and help you stay in tune with your changing sensations. And when it's done without guilt or apology, it becomes something more than routine. It becomes empowerment. For those with partners, this stage of life is a chance to redefine what intimacy really means. It might be slower, softer, or more emotionally rich. For others who are single, widowed, or exploring new relationships, it's about honoring your desires while protecting your emotional readiness. Either way, the foundation is the same: permission. Permission to explore, to express, and to enjoy. Yes, your body may need different things now. Lubricants, toys, communication, and support may all play a role in how you experience pleasure. But there is no shame in adaptation. In fact, it's a strength. Because embracing sexuality isn't about perfection, it's about presence. Being in your body in this moment, with acceptance and curiosity. And maybe that's the biggest truth of all. Your sexuality didn't fade. It just changed shape. What matters now is how you carry it. With pride, with awareness, and with the understanding that this part of you is still alive, still powerful, and still entirely yours. You've come full circle. And now, it's time to stop apologizing and start thriving. If this video helped you see your sexuality in a new light, drop a comment and share what resonated most. Your story could inspire someone else. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss powerful, honest conversations like this. Your journey's not over, it's just getting started.